Well, the cap and trade bill deals with global warming, and it ought to really be called a cap and trade tax bill because it's a tremendous cost to the American consumer. Bill passed the House of Representatives last week by a very narrow margin, just a bare minimum to get passed. It comes to the Senate now. There's been some Senate discussion of it, but nothing on the floor of the United States Senate. In fact, I don't expect it to come up maybe the rest of the year 2009, but I'm sure it's going to come up. But Senator Reed's indicated last week that it may not come up. It is a utility tax. Basically what it does is any fossil fuel, primarily coal, that is used to generate electricity is going to have a tremendous additional cost. So every time you turn on your light switch, you're going to pay more for your electric bill because Congress is passing this bill. Or another way to put it, you buy a manufactured product, there's a lot of energy used in manufacturing, and every time through the process of manufacturing a product, there's going to be additional cost because of this cap and trade tax on fossil fuels, primarily coal. And it is very unequally distributed throughout the United States because the Middle West and the Southeast of the United States is more dependent upon coal for the generation of electricity, as opposed to the Western states that get more of it from hydro, and other parts of the country that get a great share of it from natural gas, which would not be taxed as much, or hydro not taxed at all. So you're in a situation where it's going to make things more costly in one part of the country compared to the others. And then you have even more overriding problem. You have a situation where the United States, it's said, ought to pass this bill because we passed the bill, and then other countries will follow. Well, suppose other countries don't follow. Then that means that we're going to probably shift more of our manufacturing to China if China does not have the same provisions on reducing carbon dioxide, which in turn they say brings about a great deal more of global warming. And so that brings me to how this issue really ought to be solved, if it can be solved. And that is with an international agreement that would say that each of the countries that contribute X amount of CO2 to the atmosphere would reduce accordingly, so that there would be a level playing field for the United States versus China versus India. So we don't lose our manufacturing overseas. We don't lose the jobs that would follow that manufacturing overseas. So I think it's a big mistake for the United States and Uncle Sam to go out on the limb and say, well, just because we need to show leadership, we ought to do it. Okay, if every other country would follow. But I have no assurance other countries would follow. Then in a sense, the American consumer becomes Uncle Sucker for the rest of the world. And we would hurt our economy. So I think that we need to take a very good look at this. I mentioned manufacturing, but I also need to mention a very negative impact upon American agriculture because we're such a consumer of fossil fuels. So I'm going to promote solving the global warming problem by promoting and pushing for an international agreement if anything's done in this area. Thank you very much.